Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on, YouTube? Diggy546. I have officially hit rock bottom as a Giants fan. I have not felt as bad about this team as I feel right now. I mean, I honestly can not recall feeling as bad about this team as I do right now. I can't even think of the last time besides me when I was like a kid where this team has like negatively affected my mood, and like I wake up and my head hurts because like I was grinding my teeth all night because I was so angry about the state of this franchise. I cannot believe what my team, what the team that I enjoy watching every weekend has come to. What we've arrived at is ridiculous. Looking at looking at the numbers for the last 10 years. Looking at the numbers of the last 10 years, the Giants are 59, 103 and 1. We're consistently losing twice as many games as we're winning the last 10 years. The only team worse in the last 10 years is the Cleveland Browns. And they're 57, 105 and 1. They're 2 games worse, and they'll probably pass us this year. We'll probably end up finishing this year as the worst football team in the last 10 years. You want to look at points. This is where you really get the kicker. This is where you really get the kicker here. The Giants have 3,165 points the last 10 years. That is almost 100 points. Almost 100 points less than anybody else in the league. The Giants have 346 touchdowns the last 10 years. The next team, the Broncos, has 352. So we're 6 touchdowns behind anybody else in the league. We're the worst in football. And can you even name? I was going to say, can you name the Broncos quarterbacks? We got one of them on our roster right now that was playing for the Broncos, which is why they were so bad. You want to look at points per game? The Giants averaged 19.4 points per game over a decade. Over a decade. We've been this bad. They haven't been able to get it right for this long. For this long. This is a team that has 1, 2, 3, 4 Super Bowls. Can you think of any other team that has 4 or more Super Bowls that looks as bad as the Giants? And there's no other team. What do you got? The Packers? And maybe I'm crazy. I'm pretty sure the Packers have more than 4. You got the Packers. You got the Steelers. You got the Cowboys. You got the 49ers. You got the Patriots, who, they're a mess right now, but I doubt it'll last as long as us. But out of the teams that have as many Super Bowls as us or around that, we're laughably worse than them. Looking at our, it's a complete dumpster fire. And I'm keeping this as my background probably for the rest of the year for this team, because we have completely hit rock bottom. And some people were saying we didn't hit rock bottom. Well, I'm not talking about this game. This game is what we've seen many times over the last decade. We've seen this game a bunch of times, a bunch of different ways. But what I'm talking about is this is rock bottom. You realize, listen, I was someone who said, let's not bring back Saquon Barkley, because while we pay him big money, when we don't have a roster that is allowing this guy to be successful, we're paying him big money just to pay him big money. He's not getting us wins. Whatever you want to say, the reason why, we all know that he's a great player. He's going to win MVP probably. But the fact that he left this team and was able to go to the Eagles, it just makes my stomach sick. It just makes my stomach sick to see Eagles fans cheering for Saquon Barkley. It just makes my stomach sick to see this guy running for over 200 yards and looking like the Saquon Barkley that he was in 2018. We haven't seen this Saquon Barkley since 2018. Was the coaching staff that incompetent? Was the roster that bad? We've had games with Saquon where he had -2 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards on like 10 carries. And this is what we have to watch now on a week-to-week basis. This guy is going to run away with MVP. This guy is going to get 2,500 total yards. 2,500 total yards he's probably going to get this year, folks. He had 500 yards the last 2 games total. 500 the last, I don't know what to tell you. This guy, Saquon Barkley, like I said, why we didn't bring him back, I understand the reasoning. I was behind that reasoning, but the fact we let him go to the Eagles is unacceptable. And when I say that, I mean, didn't you know Joe Shane on Hard Knocks? Didn't you know? Didn't you say it over and over again that Saquon Barkley basically makes you sick? The whole situation put a bad taste in your mouth, and you're not bringing him back. You know you're not bringing him back. You knew that teams were going to offer him more than $7 million, and you knew that. And knowing that, you would decide not to trade Saquon Barkley at the deadline. Why wasn't he traded? Why was he tagged in the first place? Did you think that the Giants were going to go out and win a Super Bowl the year after they got blown off the field by the Eagles after that first round win we got? Did you think that they were going to go back the next year and win a Super Bowl and then you would let Saquon walk? Did you really think that would happen? Did you not listen to what John Mara said when he said the Eagles have a bunch of money? Did you not listen to your staff when they said the Eagles have a bunch of money and they're probably going to go after them? You didn't care. Well, guess what? You're going to get fired. You're going to get fired because you decided to let this guy walk down the turnpike and go to Philadelphia, and he's going to win MVP. Now, another thing, this is where I'm standing on the Saquon Barkley stuff. I think that we should not have paid him, but I think we should have probably traded him to a team that's not the Eagles. But looking at Xavier Mckinney, I was completely wrong on that. I'll go ahead and just accept responsibility. Xavier McKinney and Wink's defense was playing half of the field, and he just was not. He was a good safety. Don't get me wrong. Above average safety, really great safety, but he was not the center fielder that he was in Patrick Graham's defense. In Patrick Graham's defense, Xavier McKinney was an elite center field safety, and he's gotten back to it in Green Bay. This guy's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. If he gets who's going to stop him from getting 2 or 3 more interceptions? He's going to probably run away with Defensive Player of the Year. So now we're in a situation as Giants fans where everything is collapsed. We don't have any wins at home. Our fans have seen no wins at home. No wins at home this year. I wish I could look back at last year to see how many times we won last year, but I guarantee you it wasn't much. So we barely win at home, and this year not at all. We have completely hit rock bottom. We paid this guy $40-something million a year to be horrible. We cut him. We send out Mr. DeVito, and we get blown off the field. And then after that, we get to see Xavier McKinney get another interception, and then we get to see Saquon Barkley run for almost 300 yards, pretty much. I mean, like Adrian Peterson level stuff where he's just doing whatever he wants to do. Doing whatever he wanted to do. And I don't feel as bad about it because I'm saying he definitely would not be doing this on the Giants. We don't have the roster. We don't have the dogs. But my problem is, why don't we have the dogs? Why don't we have the roster? Saquon Barkley got drafted in 2018. Why don't we didn't have the team when he first got drafted. So why 6-7 years later, why do we still not have a roster that was conducive to being able to pay him? Why? I mean, this is complete rock bottom. I mean, since 2013, this team has not been able to get out of its own way. John Mara watched Jerry Reese have horrible draft after horrible draft after horrible draft after horrible draft, and then all of a sudden, it's Tom Coughlin's fault because Odell Beckham is fighting with Josh Norman. It's Tom Coughlin's fault. Tom Coughlin never lost the locker room. It's Tom Coughlin's fault because Jerry Reese can't draft. And you go out and hire the biggest goofball that you could ever hire in Dave Gettleman and give that guy how many years did he get? I think 5 or 6 years Dave Gettleman got? Maybe I'm completely wrong. Let's see. Let's count. McAdoo was with Reese, and that was in 2014. So 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing, John Mara? And then we consistently miss out on players. We're taking Wan'Dale Robinson instead of George Pickens because Wan'Dale Robinson is a good guy. He's a guy that you want to date your daughter. In the meantime, we have We have Lawrence Taylor, who's actually on a list. He's on a list. He has to report. When he moves addresses, he has to report back to the list. But his character is high enough to be recognized and celebrated. But we can't take George Pickens. We can't take we can't take this guy and this guy and this guy because they're not high character guys. They don't do things the Giants way. But we continue to put Lawrence Taylor on a pedestal when the guy's on a list. And that's a fact, people. He's on a list. I'm not even going to say what list, but you all can figure out what list he's on. Now, this is what happens when the son takes over and thinks that he's going to make things his own way. Do you really think that Phil Simms was a soft-spoken guy, a soft-spoken all-shucks guy? We struck lightning with Eli Manning. Like we caught lightning in a bottle with Eli Manning. There is no other quarterback that is as goofy and awkward and soft-spoken as Eli Manning that's going to be as good as him. It just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. So for the love of God, if we go into this draft next year and we go after someone just because they're a high character guy, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you because we continue to pass on guys for stupid reasons. We continue to draft guys. I mean, going back to Jerry Reese, we drafted the JPP at tight ends because he had long arms. We drafted Josh Azudu a couple of years ago because he's got happy feet, but the guy's the nicest guy in the world. He looks like the Michelin Man, like Frosty the Snowman, the happiest, sweetest guy in the world is playing offensive line for you, and you thought that was gonna work. You took Marcus McKeithen after he's never even played. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? And we have to watch this. We have to watch this. Now, letting a safety and letting a running back walk, that's no sweat off my back. No sweat off my back. No sweat off of anybody's back. Positional value says that's cool. But when both of them are all pros and both of them are going to be finalists for Defensive Player of the Year and MVP, oh, you messed up, Joe Shane. You messed up and you're done. You're done.